Hi again, everybody. Quick video with some homework help tonight. We diagrammed word problems today to help us look at multiplying and dividing fractions. And in a previous video, I went over the basics for multiplying and dividing fractions. When you multiply, you just multiply straight across. When you divide, you have to change it to multiplication times the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. It's just switching things around. We have a song that says, when dividing fractions, don't be shy, flip the second number and multiply. So we do that, and then we treat it just like the multiplication where we go straight across. In the previous video, I went over tons of examples on multiplication and division, and so you can go back and look at that one if you need to. But moving into these word problems, we've got to dig out what it is that we want. So when this says which of the following expressions has the same solution, that means we're looking at all four of these to say which ones are equal, which ones are really the same thing. So you can kind of flip them around to do that. You can say 72 divided by 9 is the same thing as 72 times 1/9, because that's the reciprocal. That's multiplying. This is multiplying times the reciprocal. The way we would solve this is to change it over to that. So think about what the reciprocal might be of these other ones and write them out, and then it'll help you decide which one of them have the same solution. Okay? Kenny has a piece of ribbon that measures 24 1/4 inches long. She cuts the ribbon into 15 equal pieces. That's a huge key word right there. If I'm taking something that's a total and cutting it into 15 equal pieces, chances are I'm dividing. Okay? Now I'm looking for which of the following expressions cannot be used to determine the length of each piece of ribbon Kennedy uses in her costume. So when I read the word problem, I pull out that I'm doing 24 1/4 divided by 15, which is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. 24 1/4 times 1/15, okay? Because 15 is just 15 over 1, so 1/15 is the reciprocal of that. So I'm looking for an expression that cannot be used to do this. So I know that this one can, because that's the one I pulled directly from the problem. So I can see right down here that obviously this one can be used to do that. So that's not the one I'm looking for, okay? When I make a number sentence that's the reciprocal, I know that this can also be used to solve it. 24 1/4 times 1/15. That's what these parentheses mean, just multiplication. So they're showing exactly what I have here, but without the multiplication symbol. You can show multiplication with parentheses, with a dot, or with a multiplication symbol. So I know that that can work also. Use that information to look for other choices that cannot work for you, okay? Number 3 is very similar. You're going to want to go through looking for keywords. This one literally says divide. So you don't have to decide what to do there. So think about that. Question 4 says, which of the models below shows the same solution as 2/3 divided by 1/2? Students are going to get confused just because of the picture. But follow the steps that you know. When dividing fractions, don't be shy. Flip the second number and multiply. So just do it. See what answer you're going to get, and then look for the answers and see what solves it, okay? The pictures, one of those pictures really does work with what's going on, but follow the system that we've put in place to solve it and see where that gets you first. Hopefully you won't be confused by the pictures, okay? All right, in number 5, another word problem. Diamond Diva's last softball game, the team went to John's Pizza Palace for a party. They ordered 8 pizzas to be shared among them. If each player received 1/2 of a pizza, how many players attended the party? So you're listening here, you're seeing 8 pizzas, they're being shared among the team. You know how much each person gets. We're looking for how many players is what we're looking for. So you can start to kind of set this up. But think about it logically. Sometimes a little math picture goes a long way. If you've got 8 pizzas that are going to be shared among them, each player is going to get 1/2 of a pizza. Just think about what that looks like. If you give 1/2 to this player and 1/2 to this player, that's one whole pizza. Then you got another player and another player. That's another whole pizza. Now we're at 2 pizzas. So imagine how I could keep going with this drawing, just a simple little math drawing. Right now, I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players and 3 pizzas. So think about how you could extend this to figure out how many players would be used for 8 pizzas. You can also set it up as your multiplication or division problem, whichever one you believe you need, and then solve it that way. So sometimes a little small picture really helps. When you go to bubble in your answer, remember now in 6th grade you need to bubble positive or negative. You need to remember this is the ones place, this is the tens, thousands, and so on, hundreds and thousands. And these are your tenths and your hundredths. So be careful when you put your place value in. Make sure you put it in the right spot. So go back and look at this. If you need, really want you to think tonight as you go through the word problems. This is just a system. Solving things like this is just multiplication, following a system, plugging things in the right way. This requires thinking. You need to think about what's going on so that you can set up the problem. And if you can set up the problem, then you can go back to your system to make sure you've got the answers that you need. We talked about in class today, we can train an animal to come in here and bubble in answers. I'm not concerned that you bubbled in an answer. If you come in and you bring a sheet that's got just answers bubbled in, I could really care less. I want to know, can you set up the problem? Can you see the math that's happening? I don't want to see just bubbles on a paper. You need to show some work. You need to write down. You need to circle. You need to underline important things that help you solve the problem. I want to see your thinking. Don't just bubble answers. We're better than that. So hope this helps with your homework tonight, and we'll see you in class. Thanks.